Welcome back to another video by under 450k, and here is exactly where you want to invest in 2025 based on who you are. And I have delayed this video intentionally because I know for a fact that every single buyer's agent, every single YouTuber, and every single property channel would have by now uploaded their 2025 predictions and talked about exactly where they're planning to invest and what they are pushing. But I have no agenda and I have no $15,000 buyer's agency service to sell you. And so this is exactly where I believe that you should invest based on your exact situation. And I'm going to break it down for you. Let's say, for example, that you are a full-time worker, your budget is $600,000, you are a first-time investor who has a long-term horizon, your risk profile is moderate. So you prefer stability with some growth potential, and you are a passive investor. So you're just focusing on capital growth and you're expecting equity in the next 12 months. So where do you invest? Well, logic suggests that you must invest in hot markets which are actively growing on a month-to-month basis. And so where are these hot markets? But remember, you're also looking for the stability in these areas. So you want to be targeting large regional areas, and the first example is Townsville. Now, Townsville is a well-known hot market. Every single buyer's agent, every single property guru, investor is currently investing into this market, and this is a location that is largely driven both by owner occupiers, but now as well as investors, and they are pushing this market to new heights and new prices. But where specifically in Townsville should you be looking at? My pick of the locations would be Mundingborough. This is where the location has grown the least in terms of the data perspective. Obviously, you want to do further due diligence and make sure you are investing in good locations of Townsville, but this one, according to the data, has grown the least over the last 3 years. There are other specific locations in Townsville which you can consider investing, like Kerwin, Condon, etc. Now, the first location of a hot market that you can consider for this situation was Townsville, but the next location is Cairns. And where specifically in Cairns do you want to invest? Well, it's very simple. You want to be looking at the south side of Cairns, near White Rock and near Edmonton. These are the two locations that I would consider investing into if you are looking for quick growth, quick equity in the next 12 months, markets which are actively growing. Now, some notable mentions are including Mount Sheridan and Bentley Park as well, but this is where you'll find properties around the $500,000 to $600,000 range. You won't really get anything under $500,000 anymore. And if you have a budget for 600k, you should be able to buy within this area a nice 3x1. You might just be able to get a good 4x2, just might. Now, of course, with Townsville and Cairns, you have to watch out for the flood zones, the cyclones, the high insurance costs, the water insurance premiums, all the expenses that come into these areas you need to factor in when buying in this location. Now, I have one more suggestion for you. And once again, we know Mackay is a well-known hot market. And the reason it's a hot market is because these markets are actively growing month on month. There's buyers agents, there's investors buying in here. Where should you be investing in Mackay? Well, there's a couple of locations that you want to be considering. Now, these locations include Andergrove, as you can see on the screen here. You can also consider Bocasia, if I'm saying the name right. Bocasia is another location you can consider. You can also consider West Mackay, and a slightly more riskier location that you might want to consider is Walkerstown as well. Honestly, I would stick to Andergrove and West Mackay as well as Bocasia as my pick of the places in Mackay. Right? And once again, I want to stress this is for people who are looking for equity in the next 12 months. You still want to be buying in the hot markets of good regional hubs. That is key. Now, of course, you have to also factor in all these markets, including Townsville, Cairns, and Mackay, that you have missed out on significant growth, almost close to 50 to 60% of growth, which equates to hundreds of thousands of dollars. But if you're still looking for that quick growth, this is the sacrifice that needs to be made. And I'm hoping I'm making that very clear for you, because in my previous video, I said not to consider these locations because they have grown too much. And I said in that video, there is a caveat. And that caveat is that if you're looking for quick equity growth in the next 12 months, these are the sacrifices that need to be made. And just before I go any further at all, I am very proud to announce that I have a new ebook coming out called No Gatekeeping Property. This book I put my heart and soul into for the past couple of months and worked throughout the entire Christmas holidays for this book to bring it to you for absolute peanuts. There are so many property books out there. You might be wondering, what do I have to offer differently? The difference is that I don't put any bullcrap. I don't have any upsells or further buyer's agency services down the line. This book puts everything that I know into one PDF document that you can download and that you can read at your own time and that you can master property with. It is the no property gatekeeping book. It's the no nonsense guide that cuts through all the bullcrap about property. And just to put this into perspective, this book that's over 80 pages long is cheaper than original crispy burger box, which costs $13.95. So make sure you go pre-order that book right now for $9.99. All right, let's go to situation number 2. Let's say you have a budget of $550,000, you have 2 to 3 investment properties, and you have a long-term horizon. Your risk is actually quite low to moderate, and you prefer stability once again. However, in this scenario, you're looking only for equity in the next 2 to 4 years. So where should you invest? Great question. Here's exactly where you should invest. So let's zoom into Victoria. In Victoria, let's go to Bendigo. As we know about Bendigo, it has a very good population size, a very large regional hub with a very economically diverse job market. But of course, like always, there are markets within markets, and you must be specific about where you want to buy in Bendigo based on the data, based on the local ground knowledge, and more. And so these are my pick of the suburbs where you should consider investing into based on a multitude of factors, and this includes California Gully and Eagle Hawk, as well as Golden Square and Kangaroo Flat. These locations are probably the pick of the bunch within Bendigo. Now, don't go invest into Bendigo blindly because there's a lot of construction happening around Flora Hill, White Hills, for example, a lot of new development, as well as other hindrances like flight path noises and more. So make sure you're picking the right pockets to go invest to in Bendigo. Now, where else can you consider if you're looking for equity in the next 2 to 4 years? Well, I would suggest looking at Albury Wodonga. Albury Wodonga is once again a massive regional hub when you combine them together. If you look at them single by single, not so much, but together they're a huge location, a huge large regional location that you should consider. In Albury, again, be specific. West Albury, North Albury are my nice pick of the suburbs. Lamington, Springdale Heights are locations you can consider. Obviously, there's a bit of stigma around them. West Wodonga is quite a nice regional location to consider investing into as well. Those would be my picks around those areas. Now, once again, I want to stress, these areas are not growing $10,000 every month, but they are stable and steadily growing markets and are safe markets to consider investing your money into for passive capital growth. Now, like always, I have my private community that you guys can jump in and join. It's literally $1 a day, and there's so much value jam-packed into this community, and you can ask me questions directly. There are plenty of reviews out there, so make sure you go and read them, and you'll find so much value within this community and resources. And last but not least, I have a free newsletter where every single week I go through a different investment location. So if you don't want any of my paid products, that's absolutely fine. Go subscribe to the free one. Every single week for the past year, I have been doing a different location, giving investment advice. So please go check it out. Please go subscribe. Let's get back into the video. All right, now it's time to turn up the heat a little bit. Let's think about higher risk locations, and let's look at situation number 3. If you're willing to let go a bit of the instability and you're on your second, third, fourth investment property with a smaller budget of around $500,000 or less, and you're looking for a quick equity growth once again in the next 12 to 24 months, where should you be investing? I'm going to give you 3 locations and you can choose what you want to do from there. Let's go to Queensland. And within Queensland, we want to go to Gladstone. And which locations in Gladstone should you consider? You should consider Kincora, Sun Valley, New Auckland, as well as Callio. These are probably the pick of the suburbs within Gladstone where I would consider investing into. Now, huge caveat. Gladstone has had a history of past cyclical movement. It's gone through huge downtrends. It has not been economically diverse for the past couple of years. Now they've started to transition towards renewable energy and renewable energy industry. So you should definitely be very wary about investing into this location. It's much higher risk. I've made an entire breakdown. In fact, that was the first video I have ever made. So go check it out. And that explains Gladstone in its entirety. I'm not going to re-explain it in this video. Location number 2. Let's look at Rockhampton. Now, once again, I've made it very clear that Rockhampton has grown an immense amount. You have already missed out on hundreds of thousands of dollars of worth of growth, but if you are looking for that hot market, higher risk location, smaller budget, there are places in Rockhampton which you can still consider. So make sure you look into this location as well. Location number 3. And some of you might already know where I'm going to go with this, but I'm going to go to Northern Territory, and not Darwin, but Palmerston City. Now, once again, I have made a video on Palmerston City. Make sure you go check that out. I feel like a broken record at this point, but I'm giving you the exact locations on where to consider investing into. These locations include Malden over here, Grey, Woodroffe, and Driver. So this pocket here is where you want to consider. Now, you can also consider Rosebery as well. That's a notable mention. But these 4 locations are my main considerations if you're looking into Palmerstown. Once again, very similar outlook as Gladstone. Huge history of past cyclical movement, huge downtrends, but there's a lot of investment infrastructure coming into this area, and there's a lot more investor interest in this area. You must know that Darwin and Northern Territory is well known for its transient workers. There's a high renter to owner occupier ratio. They're all on very high incomes, but they all don't want to live there. So these are some risks that you must consider and factor into when investing into these locations. If you can time the market correctly, you can make very big gains. If you don't, then you can lose a lot of money. That's why I'm saying this location is higher risk. And for those investors who are looking for quick equity, all right, let's go into the last situation. Where should you consider investing if you have a very low risk appetite, you have a high budget of around $600,000 to $700,000 or $500,000 to $700,000? You're a first time investor, you're focused on passive investing, you're focusing on capital growth, and you're not looking for quick equity, but you are still looking for equity in the next 24 months. Where should you consider? Guess, guys, where I'm going to go next. I am going to go to Melbourne, and I'm also going to go to somewhere else as well. Notable mentions in Melbourne include Dallas and Coolaroo, as well as that sort of North Melbourne area, including like areas like Campbellfield, Dallas, West Meadows, Meadow Heights. These areas are notable mentions for North Melbourne for those low risk investors who are looking to only invest in a capital city. If you can, I would also suggest looking at areas like Carrum Downs. If you can score a townhouse between the $600,000 to $700,000 range, it's going to be pretty hard to find a house within that price in Melbourne. So that's for low risk investors. Now, if you have a slightly higher budget, I would consider still looking at Perth if you're still looking for that quick equity in the next 12 to 24 months. There are locations within Perth where you can get a house for $600,000 to $700,000. So make sure you jump into that area and you check it out yourself. The last personality, the last persona, if you have a budget of $450,000, where should you consider investing? If you're a first-time investor, you have a medium to long-term time horizon, your risk profile is low to moderate risk, you want to invest in a regional or capital area, and you're expecting growth in the next 24 to 36 months, where should you consider? I think you guys know where I'm going to go. Victoria. Where in Victoria? Good old Shepparton. There are properties here for under $450,000. Be careful of where you invest in. Large parts of it are in a flood zone. There are parts which aren't in a flood zone. Very economically diverse, good agriculture, good manufacturing, etc. You can find properties for under $450,000 here. Ballarat is another wonderful location that you can go check out and that you can consider investing into. Be very specific about where you go, where you invest, what you buy. Yields aren't great. They're not good, but you can find good properties under $450,000 in this location. Where else can you consider? Where can you consider in Geelong? Corio and Norley. And once again, they have a high renter to owner occupier ratio. They aren't the desirable parts of Geelong, but you can get properties under $450,000. However, they do not have the best yields. So make sure you consider that when investing into these. And just to give you a bit of variety, where else can you consider? I would look at Dubbo. Dubbo has properties under $450,000. However, they're not the best quality, nor will they find in the best areas of Dubbo. But once again, a good regional hub, supplies a lot of regional towns within New South Wales, a good safe investment location, in my opinion. Now, just to tie this all together, I have broken down exactly where you want to invest in 2025 based on your exact situation and who you are. I have gone through some of the most common examples of who you are, where you should invest and what you should invest into. However, it doesn't just end here, and you definitely need to go check out my next video where I break down exactly where not to invest into to make sure you're not buying in the wrong area or wrong suburbs based on your investment strategy.